Hi there, this video is an exam paper walkthrough of the AQA GCSE Mathematics Higher Tier Paper 1 from summer 2023. This paper is worth 80 marks in total and this is the first video of 4. It will focus on questions 1 to 8 which account for 20 of these marks. AQA paper 1s are non-calculator, so a calculator cannot be used. A little disclaimer, there may be more than one way to answer a question. The methods shown in this video are not the only way some mathematical skills can be applied. Okay, let's get started. Question 1a, work out 0.7 multiplied by 0.5. So I'm going to times 0.7 by 10 to make it 7. I'm going to times 0.5 by 10 to make it 5. And then I'm going to do 7 multiplied by 5, which is 35. It makes my life a little bit easier. But now I need to reverse these two multiply by 10s. So if I divide it by one of those 10s, we get 3.5. And then if I divide 3.5 by the other 10, we get 0.35. So the answer is 0.35 on the answer line. 1b, work out 5/6 divided by 3. So the first thing we need to remember here is 3 can be written as a fraction over 1. So we're going to keep the first fraction 5/6, but we want to change this to a multiplication. So instead of 3 over 1, we're going to write its reciprocal 1 over 3. Because its reciprocal is its inverse, and that means we can use the inverse operation to division, which is multiplication. So now we're going to do top times top, bottom times bottom. 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 3 is 18. 1c, work out 27 divided by 0.6. So what I'm going to do is multiply 0.6 by 10 to make it 6. But because it's division, I have to do the same to the other side. So 27 times 10 is 270. So now I'm going to do 270 divided by 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24. Remember, by doing this, I'm saving myself some brain space. So 6 is into 27. 1, 2, 3, 4 gets us to 24. Then from 24 to 27 is a remainder of 3. 6 is into 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No remainder, so the final answer is 45. This is also the answer to our division sum because we've done the same to both sides. So it's still an equivalent sum. We don't need to reverse it for division. So we're going to put 45 on the answer line. Question 2. Solve 2x is less than 26. So solving inequalities works the same way as solving equations. We're going to use the inverse operations. So this is 2 multiplied by x. So the inverse would be to divide both sides by 2. When I divide the left-hand side by 2, that leaves me with x. The inequality symbol needs to stay the same and match. And then when I divide the right-hand side by 2, 26 divided by 2 is 13. This whole thing now goes on our answer line. So x is less than 13. If you don't put that less than symbol, you're going to lose that mark. Question 3. Work out the value of 3 over 2 squared. Give your answer as a mixed number. So remember, when we're squaring a number, we're multiplying it by itself. So this is the same as doing 3 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 2. We know how to multiply fractions. It's the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. Currently we have an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. It wants our answer as a mixed number. So we see how many of the bottom number go into the top. So 4, 8, 12. So 2 whole lots of 4 fit into 9. That gets us to 8, so we have a remainder of 1, so it's 2 1/4, and 2 1/4 goes on our answer line. Question 4. ABC, BD and BE are straight lines, and we can see them in this diagram here. Angle EBD, so EBD is this angle here, is 5 times angle ABE. So ABE is this angle here. Angle DBC, this angle here, is 3 times angle ABE. Work out the size of angle EBD. So we don't have any numbers here, but we do have relationships between the angles. And we've been given a relationship for both of these angles in relation to this angle here. So let's call angle ABE X. If angle ABE is X, then EBD must be 5 times X. So this angle here is 5X. And then DBC must be 3 times X, which is this angle here. Now we do know that angles on a straight line sum to 180. So we're going to add these angles together. So we have X, add 5X, add 3X, and what we would expect is an answer of 180. So 1X plus 5X is 6X, plus 3X is 9X. So now, if we solve this equation for X, we'll be able to substitute that value into this expression to find that angle EBD. So the opposite of 9 times X would be to divide by 9. So 180 divided by 9 is 20 degrees. Now that I know X is 20, I can substitute it into this expression for the angle EBD. So for angle EBD, we've got 5X, which is equal to 5 times X. We know X is 20, so 5 times 20 tells us that angle EBD is 100 degrees. And you're going to pop that on your answer line. Question 5. 2 prime numbers are multiplied together. The answer is an even number between 50 and 60. Complete the calculation. So we're going to put 2 prime numbers in here that give us an answer between 50 and 60 when we multiply them. So first of all, let's list a few of our prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Let's deal with those for now. So if we want our answer to be an even number, we need an even multiplied by an odd. That's the only way we're going to get an even answer. Or we could have an even multiplied by an even. But this one is asking for 2 prime numbers being multiplied together to give an answer between 50 and 60. Now the only even prime number is 2. So if we're to use 2 times 2, that only gives us an answer of 4. So that's not going to work. So the only combination we have left is even and odd. The only even prime number we've said is 2. So now we need to find an odd prime number, which the rest of them are, that when we multiply it by 2, when we double it, we get an answer between 50 and 60. So the biggest one I've listed so far is 11. If I double 11, I get 22. That's not going to work. The next prime number is 13. Double 13 is 26. That's not between 50 and 60. The next prime number is 17. Double 17 is 34. So that's not going to work. The next prime number is 23. Double 23 is 46. The next prime number is 29. Double 29 is 58. Now this option would work because 58 is between 50 and 60 and 29 is odd and prime. So if we pop 29 there and 58 in the answer box. Question 6. Andrew and Bruce share some money in the ratio 5 to 6. Andrew and Bruce. Bruce gets £96. So Bruce, his part of the ratio in real terms is worth £96. Andrew gives 1/4 of his share to Carl. Bruce gives 2/3 of his share to Carl. How much money does Carl receive? Okay, so we know Bruce gets £96. To be able to give some of Andrew's money to Carl, we need to find out how much Andrew's got. So I'm just going to bring this down. So we've got Andrew to Bruce in a ratio of 5 to 6. We know that Bruce is worth £96. So this piece of information is going to help us figure out what we need to multiply this ratio by to figure out Andrew's share of the money. So we need to figure out what we multiply by. So we're going to do 96 divided by 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. This is just to save me brain power. So 6 into 9 is 1. To get from 6 to 9 is a remainder of 3. 6 into 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No remainder, so the answer is 16. So we've times by 16 here. So if I do that on the other side of the ratio, 16 times by 5, 5 times 6 is 30, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So Andrew gets £80. So now we can then share this money with Carl. So Andrew gives 1/4 of his share to Carl. So 1/4 of £80 is that £80 divided by 4. So Andrew's going to give Carl £20. Bruce gives 2/3 and 2/3 of his amount, so 2/3 of £96. So the first thing we're going to do 96 divided by 3. So 96 divided by 3, that's going to be our first sum. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3's into 9, 3, no remainder. 3's into 6, 2, no remainder. So when we divide by 3, that's £32. However, that's 1/3. We need to now multiply by that 2 to get 2/3. So 32 multiplied by 2 is 64. So Carl gets 20 plus £64, 4, 8. So he gets a total of £84. Question 7. We've been given a product of prime factors with one of the powers, one of the values missing. So 2 to the power of A multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5 squared equals 600. Work out the value of A. You must show your working out. So there's a couple of different ways you could do this. I'm going to start by working out the part of this product of primes that I can calculate. So I'm going to do 3 times 5 squared, which is 3 times 5 times 5, which is 3 times 5, which is 15 times 5, and then 15 times 5 is 75. So if I substitute that in, I have 2 to the power of A multiplied by 75 gives me 600. So by using inverse operations now, I can find out what that 2 to the power of A must be equivalent to. So the inverse of multiplying by 75 would be to divide by 75. So I'm doing 600 divided by 75. I'm going to count up in 75s. So when I get to 150, that's 2 of them. So now I'm going to count up in 150s because I'm going to find that quicker to get to 600. So 150, 300, 450, 600. Each of these is worth 2 lots of 75. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 600 divided by 75 is 8. So 2 to the power of something is equal to 8. So now I'm going to deal with my powers of 2 until I find out what that number is going to be for A. So by powers of 2, I mean 2 to the power of 1 is 2. 2 to the power of 2, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2, which is 4, times by 2 again, which is 8. And I'm going to stop here because I have a match here on the right hand side. So 2 to the power of A is equal to 2 to the power of 3. So A must be 3. Question 8. Expand and simplify fully. So remember, everything on the outside of a bracket gets multiplied by everything on the inside. So 5 multiplied by 3x is 15x. 5 multiplied by positive 4 is positive 20. And it's important that we put that addition symbol there for a positive number when we're dealing with expanding and simplifying. Moving over to the next bracket, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. A negative times a negative is a positive, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So now it's a case of collecting like terms. So we have 15x subtract 2x. It's really important that we use a sign in front of the term to determine whether we're adding it or subtracting it to any other terms that we have in common. So 15x take away 2x is 13x, and then positive 20 add 2 is positive 22. So 13x add 22 goes on my answer line.